Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 immortal animals you won't believe are real. Humans live for about 80 years on average. Now 80 years may sound like a lot of time, but not when you compare it to living forever. It sounds like a movie or some kind of superpower, but some unbelievable animals can actually live forever. So before we get going, be sure to subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10 we have zombie bugs. Now we're kicking things off with an insect that is immortal. This thing is called a tree wetter, but it's more commonly known as the zombie bug. It doesn't even have a lifespan as it's immortal and won't naturally pass away. However, one thing that can cause these bugs to die is being frozen. However, these bugs are called zombie bugs for a reason. That is because they can come back to life. That's right, if you freeze a zombie bug to death, it can come back to life if it's heated up again. This is because they have special proteins in their blood which allow their hearts and brains to be very resilient to freezing. Next up is Hydra. Hydras are very small animals that live in water, and they're one of the only animals that don't show any deterioration with age. This means no matter whether they're 1 year old or 1,000 years old, nothing about them changes. But how do they do this? Well, even though it sounds like it, it's not magic. They're able to divide and regenerate new body cells over and over again. This means Hydras keep themselves young forever. The process of them dividing and repeating their cells goes on and on forever, making them immortal. Next up is glass sponges. These sponge-type animals are the oldest living animals in the sea, and you thought SpongeBob was the only sponge that lives in the sea. These things live for over 15,000 years because they simply don't die by themselves. Also, these are found at the very bottom of the ocean, so most predators who'd want to eat them can't. The reason these things live for so long is because they can control their own spicules. Spicules are mineralized structures in every animal which causes them to age. So glass sponges simply control their spicules to slow down their aging process. Just imagine if humans could do that. Now that would be better than any superpower. Next up is giant tortoise. We all know that tortoises are one of the oldest living reptiles and animals. Most tortoises live for around 120 years, but when it comes to the giant tortoise, it's another much longer story. They live for more like 250 to 600 years, which is more than triple an average human's life. That's right, there are giant tortoises which are older than many generations of your family. These animals can take a very long time to grow and do not even reach an age where they can mate until over 30 years old. The oldest one of these to ever live was years ago in India, and it died at almost 600 years old. Next up is bowhead whales. Now, bowhead whales are known for being absolutely massive, but that's not as amazing as their lifespan, which is 200 to 300 years old. The way they do this is because they can repair their damaged DNA. Humans and pretty much all animals can't do this. But if a bowhead whale got seriously ill, then they can just naturally get better, kind of like how our bodies naturally get rid of a bruise. But for us, it would be the equivalent of developing cancer and then your body just making it go away naturally. This is an amazing superpower that these whales have, which allows them to live forever, and the whales can also survive with not much oxygen for long periods of time, making them almost immortal. Next up is water bear. Most people think that cockroaches are the most tough animals in the world, but in reality water bears are the toughest animals on the planet. Their name is actually tardigrades, but water bears are what they're most commonly known as. And they're called this because they live in the sea, yet they're tougher than a grizzly bear. They are tiny, measuring at around 1.5 millimeters in length, but size doesn't matter when it comes to animal survival. They can survive temperatures of over 200 degrees of heat and minus 400 degrees of cold. Also, cutting them up doesn't kill them, and they can live through more radiation than a cockroach. And they're not only the toughest animals on the planet, but in the universe. You see, this is the only animal which can survive in outer space without being in some kind of suit or spaceship. And also, these things look super awesome under a microscope. Next up is immortal jellyfish. Now, jellyfish are very common animals. However, most people don't know about the immortal jellyfish found in the Japanese waters and the Mediterranean Sea. Immortal jellyfish actually don't die naturally. They can only ever die from disease, which is very rare. The reason why is because these jellyfish can go back to being a child. Do you ever miss being a kid? Well, these jellyfish can go right back to it. Immortal jellyfish are the only animals that can go back to sexual immaturity after reaching maturity. Immortal jellyfish can keep doing this forever and do it naturally. Unfortunately, the only way humans can go back to being a kid is to visit Disneyland. Next up is estuarine crocodile. Now, we all know that when animals live a long time, the giant versions of them live even longer. Most crocodiles live for around 70 years, however estuarine crocodiles live for around 170 years. Their nickname is the giant crocodile because they grow up to be super big. The reason why is because these animals are very predatory. They live in saltwater lakes and are at the top of the food chain there. This means they almost have no chance of being killed by prey other than human hunters. But providing nobody wants some crocodile skin shoes, these guys are safe. So this means the only way these crocodiles pass away is from old age, which means they live on and on forever. Next up is clams. Now this is crazy, but one species of clam live for over 400 years. This is because of a process that comes naturally to them called slowed cell replacement. However, other than that, scientists aren't really sure why some clams age at such a slow rate. These clams need to be decades old before they can even reach sexual maturity. However, scientists and marine biologists are still studying why these species of clam take so long to age. One thing's for sure, this animal can get super old. Next up, we have immortal lobsters. So you may be wondering how lobsters can be immortal when you may very well have eaten one. Well, one species of lobster can actually live for over a century. This is because they increase their fertility due to an enzyme in their body called telomerase. The enzyme repairs the DNA of the lobster and converts the old cells into young ones. This is what makes them immortal, and they also molt their exoskeleton. This causes them to never be old and decrepit and always seem young. The nickname for these animals should be Peter Pan lobsters, as they remain young forever. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the most amazing immortal animal on this list. And be sure to check out my second channel, The Crafty. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment, and it's amazing, so click it to check it out. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s to never miss a video.